I think it's a great place to start is with the term big data. This is in my reporting for Bloomberg for Business Week. This is a term that comes up a lot. It seems to be very amorphous. In a recent survey of data aggregation managers, about 21% of respondents weren't really sure what big data referred to. And in talking with you guys individually before the panel, you each had a little bit different answers to what big data referred to. So part of the goal of this conversation, I think, is to come away with some insights and thoughts about kind of, how we think about big data and how we define it in our jobs and what it means to marketers. As we pointed out, we would like to take your questions. So if you do have some feedback or questions, please raise your hand and interject. But let's start with the matter of noise and signal. Globally, IDC estimates that in 2011, 1.8 zettabytes of data were created in 2011. Marketers are faced with an explosion of data. And a lot of marketers say that the biggest challenge is actually finding the signal in this sheer volume of data. So let's go around the table first and introduce yourself, say your name, and say where you're from, and say how do you filter out useful information from the noise?
Hi, I'm Tim Suther. I'm the CMO of Acxiom. Been at the intersection of data, marketing, and technology for about 15 years now. And certainly the company that I'm with has been doing it for 40 years. So before I answer your question, I want to ask people, how many people know what a zettabyte is? Well done.
More than a terabyte?
Something 1.8 zettabytes equal to 57 billion iPads. There you go. I think it's something like 2 billion terabytes. I mean, so it's a huge amount of data. Another fun fact that you can impress your friends at cocktail parties with is that we're actually creating more data than the sum total of the world's storage capacity. So we've been doing that for 5 years. So your question about how do you still signal from noise is a good one. And oftentimes people think about big data just in terms of the sheer volume of data. That's the stat that you're referencing. I think the hard part on it is the kind of the velocity and the variety of data are changing. It used to be really neat and organized. Name went here, address went here, you lived there. But in the world of images and video and social, it's really hard to to define intent, let alone recognize what the data is. So for us, we like to attach it to what the end purpose is, and we live in a world where data is a raw material in driving value, and there's just so many clever things that can be done with it. So for us, we like to think about how do you take data to better understand the value of each touch. How to use data to be able to create a deep, enduring relationship with customers, and if you're in the marketing business, how do you use data to decommoditize intent? How do you use it to protect the pricing of your product in the marketplace? And the answer to that is to cultivate an asset of insight about consumers and to apply it at the moment of truth, which is when your brand meets consumers. And technology and some really smart people are the essential ingredients for that.
Omar?
Yeah, so saying big data is like saying fast computer 30 years ago. If you think about Moore's law, back then they were very smart when they said that they were going to have a doubling every 2 years in the amount of transistors they pack in an IC. It's exactly what's happening in data, except Moore's law is even timid compared to what's happening, according to what we saw. I think it was 2005 where we created more data in 1 year than all of history. And we're going to approach the point now where it's going to be a doubling of data will reach 11 days, right? So it's just extremely aggressive. So in that world, not all companies are going to be able to invest in the data architectures and the changing data architectures that you will need to be able to both keep up with the data and getting the signal from noise. Just like in the integrated circuit world, you need to have really big investments to be able to keep up with it. So that's one trend you're going to see, is that you will need strong companies with strong technologies to invest in the technologies that will support marketers. Another trend that you'll see is the ones who know how to separate the signal from the noise will be key. And I look at those in 4 different areas. The first type of separating signal from noise is taxonomy development. Understanding how to qualify what is this data. Is this intent? Is this social data? Is this demographic? Is this psychographic? What is it? The second skill set you will need is judging of quality. Moving from a world where you have a single judge of quality like a ComScore or Nielsen, no offense, ComScore or Nielsen, great companies, but to a world where there's kind of a more open way of judging the quality of the data because it's a very dynamic, growing marketplace. The third type of separating signal from noise is how do you put it in context of a business, of a user of a business who says, what does this mean to exactly what I'm doing right now, which is selling widgets in this campaign and increasing revenue. And the fourth type of skill set we're going to see is closed loop, algorithmic extraction of data, putting it right back into a system that drives revenue without any human intervention. Many names are given to that, predictive analytics, lookalikes, and so on. All of those are different skill sets different companies are attacking to extract signal from noise.
So at dinner, Omar and I realized we were kindred spirits about data. So I'm only going to add what I would put on top of what Tim and Omar said, which is taxonomy is critical, data authenticity or quality is critical, and I think you'll see that there will be room for the crowdsourcing authenticity method, and there will be room on top of that for purely objective standards. If somebody asks you what the temperature is outside, you can crowdsource that, or you can actually get a thermometer which is calibrated to produce an accurate result, and both are important. And then the last thing I'll add, which I think we haven't talked about, I think is critical, is there is a convergence of offline marketing discipline as it relates to analytics, filtering data, and digital marketing analytics that is a chasm that's yet to be crossed where there's enormous opportunity. So the additional thought here is an analytical roadmap that starts with the business problem to be solved and results in what are all of the iterative steps, analytical iterative steps we're going to take to get that problem solved over the next 2 or 3 months. And many of the digital marketers that we work with today do not have an analytical roadmap. They might have a very rudimentary one because it's early innings. Very small amounts of information produce very large gains right now in digital marketing. So why would you develop a massive logistic regression model if you can produce phenomenal results with something less than that? But very quickly that's going to change, and it's going to require more and more analytical horsepower of the kind that Omar described, but also the human kind related to making business decisions. And I think we'll have to figure out how to bridge that gap through things like the Marketing Innovation Lab, actually.
Steve? So my name is Stephen Messer. I'm with Collect Buy, formerly at Windshare. To me, I have love-hate for the word big data or the term big data, because big data sounds like to me like IBM or HP or like Dell came up with the idea that big data equals big systems equals big bucks, and I can sell you big hardware and everything's happy. And if you store all this amazing data, how great is it? And it sort of leads to this mentality, geez, I have to store everything, I have to create more sensors, because who knows what data is going to be valuable to me, and the bigger it is, the better I am, and if I have more of it, it's got to be good. And it's funny, when you look at an audience of people that we have here, where, if I actually asked Don this earlier, how much would it cost me to buy a list from 2 years ago? And he was like, I couldn't even sell it. Thank you. It's like, you want it, you got it. But yet we're in an industry where everyone's like, I have to store 25 years worth of data because I might need it. And so in one sense, I don't like the term big data. I like it from a business owner's perspective because you guys are here to listen to us, because we probably wouldn't be if it wasn't a term like that. But from a conceptual perspective, when we talk about the techniques we use to mine data or to find answers, you shouldn't care. What you care about is really, what are the big questions, right? It's funny, no one debates at these topic panels, what are the big questions that marketers need to ask that this data could answer? They spend a lot of time talking about Hadoop, and how it's better than, maybe better than Teradata, and it's cheaper, and it's scaling data, and boy, there's huge amounts of data. No one actually talks about the questions they're trying to solve. And that's the only thing a group like this should care about. Don't worry, let the engineers solve the technical problems. We all have amazing engineers, we all have amazing technology. We get better and better at it every year. I would argue big data is about what are the big questions that can truly revolutionize your business or give you a strategic advantage, and then what data do you need to actually answer that question.
Thanks, Steve. I think it's fun to think about kind of the way that data and solving some of these challenges and the various ways that companies and including people in this panel are going about it will evolve and kind of change the way businesses make decisions in the future. I want to kind of start with you, Stephen, and coming back around the panel, talk about, what are some of the failures, what are some of the examples of failures of, solving problems with data, using business intelligence in the wrong way versus in ways that you see kind of evolving right now. How is business intelligence going to evolve and kind of help make people smarter and companies smarter? One example that we talked about before is Netflix. Maybe we can start there. How do you think the Netflix decision could have been made in the future?
I sit in this weird spot, which is in '96, my sister and I and two other co-founders started a company called Linkshare, which introduced performance marketing to the web, basically the marketers. And at that time, we used to gripe all the time about how these brand marketers just didn't get it. We would say to them things like, we attract every dollar, the John Longmaker statement of 50% of your advertising going to waste, and you don't know which 50% is, but we tell you. And how can they not get it? And we fight. And then slowly but surely, you had more direct marketers come in, you had mathematical people come in, and we were grateful. It finally made the sale make sense, and our business succeeded, and we had a great exit. Now I look back and say, geez, that monster we created is a problem, because in many ways you have all these mathematical people taking over what has been traditional marketing. And so you sit in the place where, if I were to, imagine if I turned the tide a little bit and said, imagine CFO hiring painters and writers, right? And they're a public company, right? You're thinking Sarbanes-Oxley, they're going to jail. But all of a sudden you have marketers hiring all these mathematical people, statisticians, all these great PhDs, and they have no idea what to do with these people. So they say, look, the data tells me this, let's just do this, and as if it's a certainty. And in data, there's plenty of half-truth. And as we all know, half-truths are much more powerful than truth. So almost anyone can say anything, and you don't know what you don't know. And so a statistician says, here's what you have, here's what the data tells us. Okay, I'm going to react to that. And so Netflix was a great example of me of very amazing. This is probably one of the best data-driven companies that are out there. I have no doubt the data said that we are two different businesses, streaming and delivery of traditional DVD. The customers saw it that way, right? Their message was probably getting mixed up. The data wasn't wrong, but everyone was focused on the data saying it's so good that we'll just message it and we'll be happy. Everyone forgot the creative piece is what's most important. To me, the challenge in big data is freeing up the market from having to deal with the math. So certain decisions, sure, are going to be made by computers. That's always been the case, right? From Amazon to Walmart's distribution of how they run their supply chain. But what matters most is that there's a point where the computers and the math can only say so much. The marketer has to take it from there and say, how do I message this to the customers in a way that they understand the value of what I'm trying to explain to them? Because marketing historically has done an amazing job of taking very complex messages and distilling it down to something very simple, right? The swoosh, right? Just do it, right? There's not a single marketer here that doesn't look at that and say, that's the epitome of what a marketer can do well, which is convey both the emotion and the value in a very simple message, something that I can't do on this panel, but something that they're able to do very well. And I don't believe adding more and more mathematical people to the CMO's office is going to make their messaging to the customer significantly better. I think it can help them focus it, but the creativity has to still be there.
Other examples of failures or stumbles in terms of how you see companies go about making decisions based on some new era of data?
I'll try to go old school and then bring it all the way back. I think that the biggest data-driven marketing problems throughout history have been because of the unasked question. So I don't know how many people in the room are old enough to remember New Coke. One of the most colossal new product failures of all time. And I remember talking to one of the brand team members who said that the mistake that was made was not that the product was wrong. The product was, in repeated trials, was vastly superior in blind